Hi, I'm Adam, and this is Making Dollars and Cents at the Box Office, Week 2. The figures are in, and no one can hide the fact that Hidden Figures is the #1 movie audiences wanted to see this past weekend for the second weekend in a row, bringing in $26 million over the 4-day weekend. The others in the top 5 are a little surprising, but let's dive in and take a look at them. La La Land was in the second place spot with $14.5 million, and Sing was in the third place spot with $13.8 million up until Sunday. But toss Monday into the mix, and Sing's notes were a little higher with $19 million, outperforming La La Land's $17.5 million. A similar thing happened with spots 4 and 5 with Rogue One and The Bye Bye Man, but to be honest, I'm surprised The Bye Bye Man's even in the top 10, let alone the top 5, even with its 2,200 theater count. The reviews were overwhelmingly negative, and there was a complete lack of star power and a known director, and judging by the trailer, a shred of creativity. Now, I haven't seen it, so I don't want to bash on it too harshly, but The Bye Bye Man sounds like a villain created by a college student taking a screenwriting class for an easy A, and would be better off in the straight-to-DVD rubble you have to dig through to get to the other clearance movies. As far as the other newcomers go, Monster Trucks took the #6 spot, and the most positive of the reviews kind of ended up along the lines of, well, it's not as bad as I thought it would be, but it's still pretty terrible. And Sleepless took the #8 spot, which was such a flop that I'm actually going to sleep on talking about it. And although the films that expanded this weekend did better with the reviews, they did worse with the money. Patriots Day was the highest earning of the bunch with the #7 spot, and it did get mostly positive reviews overall, but the worst of its criticism came from Boston, which is where the movie takes place and where the events actually happened, so that's a bad sign. Ty Burr of the Boston Globe said in his review that at best, it's unnecessary, and at worst, it's vaguely insulting. Wait, a hyper-patriotic movie about a bombing that happened under 4 years ago with a bland, fictionalized protagonist and obviously manipulative storytelling going nationwide on a holiday weekend could be vaguely insulting? I can't even imagine how that could possibly be exploitative in any way. And moving on to my next topic in cinema shade, Ben Affleck's latest demonstration in narcissism comes to us in the form of Live by Night, which he wrote, directed, and starred in, and it received mixed reviews, which ultimately led up to it's like Batman but without the creativity, or the fun, or the tights. Lastly, and easily most importantly, Silence from Martin Scorsese has been heavily lauded and is already deemed one of his best films, which is high praise for obvious reasons. I haven't seen it yet, which is killing me, but the overall consensus I'm hearing is that it's more of an experience. It's not a feel-good movie, and that the audience leaves not wondering whether or not they liked the film, but thinking more about the role spirituality is playing in their own life. Looking ahead to this coming weekend, we've got a mixed bag that could make the top 5 anyone's guess. First up is XXX, Return of Xander Cage. The third in the XXX series. Vin Diesel is back in the starring role in a film that either looks like a fun action-packed time at the movies or a disaster that will serve only as a paycheck to Diesel between the release of Fate of the Furious and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, both of which look wildly superior to this 12 years since the last sequel, oh god, why can't we just let it die, bald man explosion extravaganza. On a more Oscar-baited note, The Founder will also be released this weekend, starring the artistically rejuvenated Michael Keaton as Ray Kroc, the guy who took over the McDonald's franchise from its founders, who are played by John Carroll Lynch and the glorious meat-loving Nick Offerman. Yes, this does look like a fast food version of The Social Network, and John Lee Hancock has been known to play it safe, leading to overall positive audience reactions, specifically with the likes of Saving Mr. Banks and The Blind Side. But with a crowd-pleasing director, a solid cast, and historically dramatized subject matter about one of the bedrocks of this nation, The Founder has all the fixins to fit right into this year's Oscar contenders. Delicious. Also hitting cinemas this weekend is the newest from director M. Night Shyamalan, Split, starring James McAvoy and Anya Taylor-Joy. Split is a psychological thriller about a man with 23 personalities living inside of him who kidnaps 3 girls and takes them to a windowless location. Which already sounds weird, but then, true to Shyamalan form, things get weirder. Personally, I'm a fan of Shyamalan's work, even the bad ones, and after the divisive and kooky return to form of 2015's The Visit, I cannot wait to see what he's twisted up for us this time. Not to mention, this looks like a challenging and layered performance from McAvoy, as well as another showcase of Anya Taylor-Joy's brilliance that began for me with one of my favorite films of 2016, The Witch. And finally, this weekend sees the release of The Resurrection of Gavin Stone. It's a faith-based comedy starring Brett Dalton in the title role as an actor pretending to be a Christian in order to get the role of Jesus in an upcoming megachurch play so he can fulfill his community service doing something there other than mopping floors. Now, before you roll your eyes like I did at yet another faith-based insult to film, this one actually looks like a step in the right direction. This film isn't produced by Pureflix, but strangely enough, Blumhouse Tilt, which is usually a horror studio, and WWE Studios, of all places, and it stars an actor from the hit show Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. instead of an unknown or washed-up former star. It also gives off an attitude of, yeah, this is faith-based, but we're not trying to convert you, which is a welcome change for any faith-based film. They're not preaching to the choir, they're not trying to convert the unbelievers, they just are what they are, and they're welcoming anyone to come join. Now, I don't expect this to get overwhelmingly positive reviews or really even be that great of a movie. But with how abysmal the faith-based film market has been since, forever, this looks like a really positive step in the right direction, especially for Christians who want to make movies about their faith, but don't want to give up, the basic fundamentals of storytelling. I doubt I'll see it, but I am looking forward to reading reviews of it, and I'm rooting for it. Well, that's all for this week. Go see Hidden Figures, or Silence, or La La Land, or any of the fresh faces we mentioned. I'm going to be seeing Split as soon as possible. And 20th Century Women gets an expanded release this weekend, so add that to your list as well. If you like this, hit subscribe, like, or comment if you've got something to say, and we will see you next week on Making Dollars and Cents at the box office.
When you laugh at your own puns.